So good evening everyone, my name is Jubel Ibanez and I am the reporter of Group 4, and my topic is all about the school factors, curriculum flexibility, school management, information and research, and the last is the recruitment and training of educational personnel. So school factors include the developing inclusive schools, extensive programs of orientation and staff training, and the provision of necessary support services. So first is developing inclusive schools. In developing inclusive schools, that it should be cater for a wide range of pupils in both urban and rural areas requires the articulation of a clear enforceable policy on inclusion together with adequate financial provision. It includes the effective public information effort to combat prejudice and create informed and positive attitudes. Also include the extensive program of orientation and staff training and the provision of necessary support services, because changes in all the following aspects of schooling as well as many others are necessary to contribute to the success of inclusive schools. It include the curriculum, buildings, school organization, pedagogy, assessment, staffing, school ethos, and also the extracurricular activities. The next is the World Declaration on Education for All. So the World Declaration on Education for All underscored the need for a child-centered approach aimed at ensuring the successful schooling of all children, because the adaptation of more flexible, adaptive system capable of taking fuller account of the different needs of a children will contribute both to educational success and inclusion. So the next is the curriculum flexibility. The curriculum flexibility has the curricula should be adapted, children with special needs, acquisition of knowledge, and also the assessment procedures and formative evaluation. So the curricula should be adapted. Why? Because children needs, not a vice versa. Schools should therefore provide curricular opportunities to suit children with different abilities and interests. So, it should be the school head of the school will make a curriculum guide of the children who has the ability to, for example, the fast learner and the slow learner. So, the school will make a curriculum guide to give them a lesson that fit to their ability. So the next is the children with special needs. Children with special needs should receive additional instructional support in the context of the regular curriculum, not a different curriculum. So children with special needs, like children who has a visual problem or eye problem, the children with hearing problem. So the teacher should assess them to their learning, so that they will understand more about the discussion of the teacher. So next is the acquisition of knowledge. Acquisition of knowledge is not only a matter of formal and theoretical instruction, because the content of education should be geared to high standards and the needs of individuals with a view to enabling them to participate fully in development. Teaching should be related to pupils' own experience and to practical concerns in order to motivate them better. The next is the assessment procedures and formative evaluation. So assessment procedures should be reviewed, while formative evaluation should be incorporated into the regular educational process in order to keep pupils and teachers informed of the learning mastery attained, as well as to identify difficulties and assess pupils to overcome them. And for children with special educational needs, A continuum of support should be provided, ranging from minimal help in a regular classroom to additional learning support programs within the school and extending, where necessary, to the provision of assistance from specialist teachers and external support staff. And also include appropriate and affordable technology. So having appropriate and affordable technology should be used when necessary to enhance success in the school curriculum and to aid communication, mobility, and learning. Technical aids can be offered in a more economical and effective way if they are provided from a central pool in each locality, where there is expertise in matching aids to individual needs and in ensuring maintenance. So the next is school management. So, school management include local administrators and school heads. School heads' responsibilities. So local administrators and school heads can play a major role in making schools more responsive to children with special educational needs if they are given necessary authority and adequate training to do so. They should be invited to develop more flexible management procedures, to redeploy instructional resources, to diversify learning options, and to mobilize child-to-child help, to offer support to pupils experiencing difficulties, and to develop close relations with parents and the community. Having a successful school management depends upon the active and creative involvement of teachers and staff, and the development of effective cooperation and teamwork to meet the needs of students. So next is the school head's responsibility. So the school head's responsibility in promoting positive attitudes throughout the school community and in arranging for effective cooperation between class teachers and support staff. Appropriate arrangements for support and the exact role to be played by various partners in the educational process should be decided through consultation and negotiation. So, the school head's responsibility is ang iyahang buhat ani kay magkuan ra kanang for example magpatawag og meeting sa mga tanang maestra about mangutana sa mga unsay mga educational status anang mga bata. So more na responsible sa kuan kanang school head kung unsay angay i-apply ng bata. For example kung slow learner or fast learner baron, unsay mga needs ana niya o unsay mga lessons nga mo fit niya. So the last is the information and research. Information and research include the dissemination of examples of good practices and also the special needs education. So the dissemination of examples of good practice could help to improve teaching and learning. Information and relevant research findings would also be valuable. Pooling of experience in the development of documentation centers should be supported at national level, and access to sources of information broadened. And the special needs education should be integrated into the research and development programs of research institutions and curriculum development centers. Particular attention should be given in this area to action research focusing on innovative teaching, learning strategies, and classroom teachers should participate actively in both the action and reflection involved in such inquiries. So, napaday last di ay. Sorry. So the last is the recruitment and training of educational personnel. Include the appropriate preparation of all educational personnel, pre-service training programs, the skills required, written materials, the major challenge, specialized training, the training of special teachers, and the last is the major advisory advisory role. So first is the appropriate preparation of all educational personnel stands out as a key factor in promoting progress towards inclusive schools. Furthermore, the importance of recruiting teachers with disabilities who can serve as role models for children with disabilities increasingly recognize the following action could be taken. So, appropriate appropriate preparation of all educational personnel. Um, for example, is nabaroy anang maestra nga graduate nga na special na special disabilities like kanang eye problem sa eye ug sa problem sa iyang pagdungog. So dapat mo nay kwaon sa sa school nga ingana kay naaman sa mga bata nga nagproblema sa mata baron og problema silang kanang hearing o pagdungog sa mga lessons di kay sila ka dungog. So ma-encourage man ang mga bata na kay ang ilahang teacher baron kay ngana sad, so mas nindot na siyang dawaton sa usa ka school. So the next is the pre-service training programs. Pre-service training programs should provide to all students, teachers, primary and secondary alike, positive orientation toward disability, thereby developing an understanding of what can be achieved in school with locally available support services. Because the knowledge and skills required are mainly those of good teaching and include assessing special needs, adapting curriculum content, utilizing assistive technology, and individualizing teaching procedures to suit a larger range of abilities and etc. So, in teacher training practice schools, it should be specific attention should be given to preparing all teachers to exercise their autonomy and apply their skills in adapting curricula and instruction to meet pupils' needs as well as to collaborate with specialists and cooperate with parents. And the next is the skills required. So the skills required is to respond to special educational needs should be taken into account during assessment of studies and teacher certification. So next is the written materials. So as a matter of priority, written materials should be prepared and seminars organized for local administrators, supervisors, head teachers, and senior teachers to develop their capacity to provide leadership in this area and to support and train less experienced teaching staff. So next is the major challenge. So the major challenge lies in providing in-service training to all teachers, taking into account the varied and often difficult conditions under which they serve. Because in-service training should, wherever possible, be developed at school level by means of interaction with trainers and supported by distance education and other self-instruction techniques. Next is the specialized training. So the specialized training, especially in special needs education leading to additional qualifications should normally be integrated with or preceded by training and experience as a regular education teacher in order to ensure complementarity and mobility. So the next is the training of special teachers. So the training of special teachers need to be reconsidered with a view to enabling them to work in different settings and to play a key role in special educational needs programs. Because a non-categorical approach encompassing all types of disabilities should be developed as a common core prior to further specialization in one or more disability-specific areas. So ang kanang mga nag-train sa kanang mga nag-train o kuan kanang special teacher sa mga naay mga disabilities, kay dapat ang kanang nga maestra nga nag-train niya na fits it sa iya, like kaya ba niyang buhaton kung kaya ba niyang buhaton para kaya niyang buhaton tanan para makat-on ang isa ka bata nga na-disable, o kaya niyang i-comfort ang isa ka bata nga dapat muhuman siya sa iyang pag-eskwela, even though nga naabaroy kanang babag sa iyang kinabuhi, like sa iyang pagka-disabled. So muna'y buhat sa isa ka maestra. So the last is the major advisory role. So universities have a major advisory role to play in the process of developing special needs education, especially as regards research, evaluation, preparation of teacher trainers, and designing training programs and materials. Networking among universities and institutions of higher learning and developing countries should be promoted. Linking research and training in this way is of a great significance, and it is also important to actively involve people with disabilities in research and training roles in order to ensure that their perspectives are taken fully into account. So that's all of my report, and thank you for listening.
Provision of support services is of paramount importance for the success of inclusive educational policies. In order to ensure that external services are made available to children with special needs, educational authorities should be considered the following. Support to ordinary schools could be provided by both teachers' education institutions and by the outreach staff of special schools. So, they give support to the children na may special needs at nabibigay sila ng both training. Also, special schools provide access to specific devices and materials. External support by resource personally from various agencies, departments, and institutions such as advisory teachers, educational psychologists, speech and occupational therapists, etc., should be coordinated at the local level. These have proved useful in mobilizing educational resources as well as community involvement. Priority areas. Integration of children and young people with special educational needs would be more effective and successful if special consideration were given in educational development plans to the following target areas. Early childhood education to enhance the educability of all children, girls' education, and the transition from educational to adult working life. Early childhood education. The success of the inclusive school depends considerably on early identifications, assessment, and stimulations of the very young child with special educational needs. So, nakapaloob ang success sa inclusive school sa pagpakilanlan of the young child na may special na pangangailangan. Early childhood care and educational programs for children aged up to 6 years old. Ito ang nagbigay pansin to develop oriented to promote physical, intellectual, and social development and school readiness. Many countries have adopted policies in favor of early childhood education by supporting the development of kindergartens and the nurseries, or by organizing family informations and awareness activities in conjunction with community services such as health, maternal, and infant care. Girls' education. Girls with disabilities are doubly disadvantaged. A special effort is required to provide training and education for girls with special education needs. To gaining access to school, girls with disabilities should have access to information and guidance as well as to models which could help them to make realistic choices and, and preparations for their future role as adult women. Preparation for adult life. Young people with special educational needs should be helped to make an effective transition from school to adult working life, so that school should assess them to become economically active and provide them with skills needed in an everyday life, offering training skills which respond to the social and communication demands and expectations of adult life. Adult and continuing education. Persons with disabilities should be given special attention in the design and implementations of adult continuing education programs. Yes, persons with disabilities should be given priority access to such programs, and courses should also be designed to suit the need and conditions of different groups of adults with disabilities. Community perspective. The goal of successful education of children with special educational needs requires the cooperations of families and the mobilizations of the community and voluntary organizations as well as the support of public at large. So, ang layunin para matagumpay ang education of children with special needs is not the task of the Ministries of Education and schools alone, kundi para na rin ang families and mobilizations of the community and voluntary organizations. So, parent partnership. The education of children with special education needs is the shared task of parents and professions. So, the role of families and parents could be enhanced by the provisions of necessary information in simple and clear language. Both parents and teachers may support and encouragement in learning to work together as equal partners. Parents are privileged partners as regards the special educational needs of their child. Extent possible should be accorded the choice in the type of education provision they desire for their child. A cooperative, supportive partnership between school administrators, teachers, and parents should be developed, and parents regarded as active partners in decision making. So parents should be encouraged to participate in educational activities at home and at school, where they could observe effective techniques and learn. Government should take a lead in promoting parental partnership through both statement of policy and legislations concerning parental rights. Community involvement. Decentralizations and local area-based planning favors greater involvement of communities in education and training of people with special educational needs. So local administration should encourage community participations by giving support to the representative associations and inviting them to take part in decision making. Community involvement should be sought in order to supplement in school activities, provide help in doing homework, and compensate for lack of family support. Whenever actions of community-based rehabilitations is initiated from outside, it is the community that must decide whenever the programs will become part of the ongoing community development activities. Role of voluntary organizations. As voluntary associations and national non-governmental organizations have more freedom to act and can respond more readily to express needs. They should be supported in developing new ideas and pioneering innovative delivery methods, so they can play the roles of innovators and catalysts and extend the range of programs available to the community. Organizations of people with disabilities, those in which they themselves have the decisive influence, should be invited to take an active part in identifying needs, expressing views on priorities, administering services, evaluating performance, and advocating changes. Public awareness. Policymakers at all levels, including the school level, should regularly reaffirm their commitment to inclusions and promote positive attitude among children, among teachers, and among the public at large toward those with special education needs. Mass media can play a powerful role in promoting positive attitude towards the integrations of disabled persons in society, overcoming prejudice and misinformations and infusing greater optimism and imaginations about the capabilities of persons with disabilities. Media also promote positive attitudes and influence towards hiring persons with disabilities. Media should be used to inform the public on new approaches in education, particularly as regards provisions for special needs education in a regular school.
So good day everyone. I am Jules Ansel J. Marcuelo from Group 4. So right now we will talk about resource requirements. So the development of inclusive schools as the most effective means for achieving education for all must be recognized as a key government policy and accorded a privileged place on the nation's development agenda. So ang pag-develop daw sa inclusive schools kay mao daw na ang pinaka-effective on achieving education. It is only in this way that adequate resources can be obtained. Changes in policies and priorities cannot be effective unless adequate resource requirements are met. Political commitment at both the national and community level is needed both to obtain additional resources and to redeploy existing ones. While communities must play a key role in developing inclusive schools, government encouragement and support is also essential in devising effective and affordable solutions. So next, the distribution of resources to schools should take realistic account of the differences in expenditure required to provide appropriate education for all children, bearing in mind their needs and circumstances. So, it may be realistic to begin by supporting those schools that wish to promote inclusive education and to launch pilot projects in some areas in order to gain the necessary expertise for expansion and progressive generalization. In the generalization of inclusive education, the level of support and expertise will have to match to the nature of the demand. So, next, resources must also be allocated to support services for the training of mainstream teachers, for the provision of resource centers, and for special education teachers or resource teachers. So, dapat ang mga resources kay spread na siya para sa support sa training sa atong mainstream teachers. And also, appropriate technical aids to ensure the successful operation of an integrated educational system must also be provided. Integrated approaches should therefore be linked to the development of support services at central and intermediate level. So next, pooling the human, institutional, logistic, material, and financial resources of various ministerial departments, education, health, social welfare, labor, youth, and etc. Territorial and local authorities and other specialized institutions is an effective way to maximize their impact. So, Combining both an educational and social approach to special needs education will require effective management structures enabling the various services to cooperate at both national and local levels, and allowing the public authorities and associative bodies to join forces. Next, guidelines for action at the regional and international level. So first, the international cooperation among governmental and non-governmental regional and interregional organizations can play a very important role in supporting the move towards inclusive schools. So, ang international cooperation together sa governmental and non-governmental, regional and interregional nga mga organizations kay dako kayo siyang suporta no sa pag-move towards sa inclusive schools. So, based on past experience in this area, international organizations, intergovernmental and non-governmental as well as bilateral donor agencies could consider joining forces in implementing the following strategic approach. So next, technical assistance should be directed to strategic field of intervention with a multiplier effect, especially in developing countries. So one important task for international cooperation is to support the launching of pilot projects and aim for trying out new approaches and at capacity building. So next is the organization of regional partnerships or partnership among countries with similar approaches in special needs education could result in the planning of joint activities under the auspice of existing regional or other cooperative mechanism. So, ang mga organization sa mga regional partnerships o sa mga partnerships among any countries kay naay similar approaches sa special needs nga mag-result na siya og planning of joint activities. So, such activities should be designed to take advantage of economies scale, to draw upon the experience of participating countries, and to further the development of national capabilities. So next, a priority mission incumbent upon international organization is to facilitate exchange of data, information, and results of pilot programs in special needs education between countries and regions. So, collections of internationally comparable indicators of progress in inclusion in education and employment should become a part of the worldwide database on education. So, focal points might be established in sub-regional centers in order to facilitate information exchanges. Existing structures at the regional and international levels should be strengthened and their activities extended to such fields as policies, programming, training, or personnel and evaluation. So next, a priority mission next is a high percentage of disability is the direct results of lack of information, poverty, and low standards. Ang taas nga porsyento sa disability kay direct results na siya sa lack of information, poverty o low health standards. So, as the worldwide prevalence of disability is increasing, particularly in the developing countries, there should be joint international action in close collaboration with national efforts to prevent the causes of disability through education, which in turn would reduce the incidence and prevalence of disabilities, thereby further reducing the demands in the limited financial and human resources of a country. So next, international cooperation should support advanced training seminars for educational managers and other specialists at the regional level and foster cooperation between university, departments and training institutions in different countries for conducting comparative studies as well as for the publication of reference documents and instructional materials. So international cooperation kay kailangan mo support na sa advanced training seminars para sa educational managers ug lain pa nga mga specialist sa regional level. So next is international cooperation should assist in the development of regional and international associations of professionals concerned with the enhancement of special needs education and should support the creation and dissemination of newsletters or journals as well as the holding of regional meetings and conferences. So ang international cooperation daw kay kailangan mo assist no sa pagdevelop sa regional o international associations no nga nag-concern sa enhancement sa special needs education. So next is international technical cooperation and funding agencies involved in support and development of education for all initiatives should ensure that special needs education is an integral part of all development projects. So next, international coordination should exist to support universal accessibility specifications in communication technology underpinning the emerging information infrastructure. So next, this framework for action was adopted by acclamation after discussion and amendment in the closing session of the conference on 10th June 1994. So it is intended to guide the member states and governmental and non-governmental organizations in implementing the Salamanca Statement, Principles, Policy, and Practice in Special Needs Education. So that's all for our group. Thank you so much.